Hi, I'm Lisa Gadak, and today I'd like to talk to you about the intersection of pedagogy and technology and why it's important. Before I talk about the why, I'd like to examine the when. When did technology debut in education? The history of educational technology and instructional design is nebulous. Some argue that it started with instructional television in the 1950s, and other academics argue that it started much sooner than that. In fact, Thomas Edison in 1913 predicted that the motion picture industry would take over education and replace face-to-face instruction. Although Edison's prediction was off, they did utilize motion pictures for instructional videos during World War II to educate soldiers. By the 1960s and 70s, technological innovations were everywhere, and people couldn't help but think of the possibilities. People had big dreams about technology and education, but what was the framework that underpinned it? Where was the pedagogy? As constructivism, behaviorism, and social connectivism and other seminal learning theories began emerging, scholars contemplated how technology could support deeper learning and how technology could augment education in general. A major theory from John Biggs emerged in 2003 surrounding outcome-based curriculum. He called the model constructive alignment, and it requires alignment between three key areas of the curriculum: the intended learning outcomes, what the student does in order to learn, and how the student is assessed. This ensures that the outcomes are decided prior to the development of activities and assessments. These earlier seminal learning theories have long provided instructional designers with the tools that they needed in order to align curriculum and ensure that activities and assessments aligned with the learning outcomes. But what about the incorporation of technology into the classroom? How does that change things? In recent years, there's been many frameworks and theories that have been emerging that support educational technology practices. Mishra and Kohler in 2006 created the acronym TPACK, which stands for Technology, Pedagogy, and Content Knowledge. And this indicates that a teacher can find the best pedagogies to support the student's learning. And then once the teacher finds the best pedagogies, they can find the best technologies that support both the pedagogical choice and the content. Many higher institutions are adopting technological innovations in their classrooms, and research is supporting this intersection of pedagogy and technology. For example, in a clinical setting that's simulated, many institutions are using in their undergraduate nursing programs. There's no threat to patient safety. They can actively learn. They can learn how to use their critical thinking skills. Specific and unique patient situations can be presented. The list goes on and on. There is huge potential in educational technology and innovations in the classroom, as long as instructional designers and instructors understand that pedagogy must come first. In addition to the instructional design considerations surrounding alignment, instructional designers, strategists, and instructors must be mindful of other logistical and humanistic considerations. What is the intended setting? What will the space be? Is it a physical space? Is it a blended space? Is it a fully online learning space? What is the difficulty of the level of engagement? Is it a simple activity or a complex technological activity that's required in order to meet the learning outcomes? What will the duration of the engagement with the technology be? Is it under 5 minutes? Under an hour? Will it be for an entire lecture or over the entire course of a class? Will the chosen technology require privacy considerations? Is the course open? Is it public? Is it private? Will the students' work be showcased on an internal housing system with only the eyes of their peers, or will it have a larger audience? Are the tools and innovations you've chosen to use reliable? Will there be available technical support if it's needed? Will this be a connected environment? Will students interact with other students, or will they interact with the content only? Will the learning be synchronous or asynchronous? How will feedback be provided? The Oxford Dictionary 2018 defines a disability as a physical or a mental condition that limits a person's movement, senses, or activities. When we're talking about accessibility in EdTech, however, this definition of disability limits what instructional designers must consider when developing content that will be accessible for everyone. This includes things like how learners process different types of information, whether it's visual, verbal, or kinesthetic distinctions in learning styles. They all must be considered. Technology is everywhere. It's embedded in our culture. It affects how we work, live, play, and more importantly, learn. No one knows what the future holds for educational technology, and we may have to muddle through. Instructors of the past may have thought that the chalk and chalkboard was cutting edge and an innovation in their time. They could not have possibly foreseen the use of smartboards in the future. Those of us now who are using devices, simulations, and even artificial intelligence have no way of knowing what next innovation will be in our future. Just as Thomas Edison had predicted back in 1913 that the motion picture industry would revolutionize education, many speculators of today are also trying to determine what the next big innovation in educational technology will be. We have no way of knowing this. The only thing that we can do is support best practices in instructional design and in instruction by being mindful of the frameworks and learning theories that are available to us. There can be great benefits when pedagogy and technology intersect. It can improve engagement, knowledge retention, encourage self-directed learning. It can encourage collaboration. Students can learn life skills and practice critical thinking skills. The important thing for instructional designers and instructors to keep in mind is that the pedagogy must come before the technology. Thank you for watching my presentation on the importance of the intersection of technology and pedagogy.